Hello again, everybody. Today I'm very excited because I want to present to you what I'm calling the move, a new take really on how we start the downswing in a golf swing, and I think this might really kind of change your game. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to ask you to like the video before you've seen it, subscribe immediately and hit that little bell, because I'll be coming back with lots of kind of follow-ups on this with drills, how you can actually do this move and how this is really going to help your golf swing. But I hope when I've taken a little bit of time to describe it, you're going to know about it. So stay around, I'll be back in a second. In the past few weeks, I've been talking an awful lot about hand path, about getting the hands down to the lowest point of the swing opposite the right thigh. I've also been talking about where they go from then, how to release the golf club so that the golf club is coming correctly into the golf ball and you're getting a better strike on the golf ball generally. The main question I've really got then from everybody watching is, okay, we understand, that we've got to be in this position to get through the golf ball, but how in the world do we get down there? And the old problem of how do we start the downswing comes up again and again in all of the questions and emails that I'm getting through the channel. So I thought I'd take some time today and really try to explain it to you and explain what I think is actually going on at the start of the downswing. I think the first thing to understand is that where everybody's really going wrong is trying to accelerate the club from the top at the golf ball. And I think this is as much a psychological problem as it is a physical problem. We actually have this kind of feeling that if we start to accelerate the club there, then it's going to be moving faster at the bottom of the swing. Also, all the descriptions and the explanations that we've ever seen or read about a golf swing talk about a kind of a backswing and a follow-through, a kind of a two-directional movement. I'm moving away from the ball and I'm moving towards and through the ball, or away from the target and to the target. Therefore, it makes sense to my logical mind that here I am taking a run up and here I am accelerating towards and through the ball to the target. Therefore, it makes sense, a bit like a discus thrower maybe, that I would go back, load my body, accelerate away from the back foot, get through it and get as much energy moving in that direction as I possibly can. And I think this is really one of the main problems that we have in golf, because that's not what you should be doing in a golf swing. If you look at the golf swing where the actual acceleration, or at least where we're going to start to release the golf club intentionally, is actually not happening until we get down to this position. As we've been saying, this is kind of the lowest point for the hands in the golf swing. Now here, a little warning for you, all you technophobes out there. If you don't want to hear the explanation about how and why I do this, then I'm going to put a number up here which will tell you where you can skip forward to, and it'll just tell you what to do. For everybody else who's actually interested in knowing why we have to do this, then keep watching, because I've got a couple of gems coming up for you right now. The first thing is to understand that there isn't really a backswing and then a downswing. In fact, if you look at the majority of the golf professionals, they're actually starting to move their body back to the left when their arms are still going up. And the reason for this is that they unconsciously actually have the feeling of having ended the backswing, because the body rotation to the right has actually finished. The arms, on the other hand, have just been hinged, and the weight and inertia of the golf club is actually still working on the arms and pulling them up and back across the chest. So at that point, when the body is actually stopped and starts moving in the opposite direction, the arms are still going backwards. Now, this isn't necessarily a way that I want you to practice it, but I want you to understand that it's very possible, and it happens in an awful lot of professional golf swings, that you're going to actually start your downswing before you've finished your backswing. So hopefully we can get away totally from any kind of feeling of getting up there and then accelerating. So what is it exactly that you have to do when you get up there, or before you get up there, which actually is what we would call the move? Now, to describe this or explain it better, I thought I'd take the example of kind of the basketball player. Now, I am not a basketball player, so everybody out there who plays basketballs and sees bad technique here, This is the first time I've had a basketball in my hands since I was at school, and that was a couple of years ago. So what we actually see again in the throwing movement is the basketball player, if he's making a free throw, will go down. He will actually dip in his knees and body and then go up and throw the ball. What we then as golfers see is our backswing as the going down and the forward swing as the going up. This is the positive movement that he's making towards his target, in that case the hoop or the basket. If the golfer is then making his positive movement from the back of the golf swing, this is just enforcing this feeling in our unconscious of having to accelerate directly from the start of the swing. I believe that in the fact the actual downward movement of the basketballer would be very similar, if not identical, to a downward movement you see in an awful lot of golf professionals to start their downswings. What is actually going on there now? A lot of people say they're loading the ground, a lot of people say they're taking a bit of a pause, that they're getting more pressure on the ball, they're hitting more down in it, that's helping them to get their hands down. This is what I think is actually happening. I think either at a point in the middle of the backswing to the top, or actually after they've reached the very top of the golf swing, there is a very short falling, a weightless feeling. It's as if basically their knees and hips are giving way, collapsing, and for a very short amount of time, we're talking of maybe 100 milliseconds, 150 milliseconds, they're actually falling. And this falling movement is going to have a row of very, very advantageous effects on your downswing. The first thing, and probably the greatest thing, is if you are free falling, then you have no pressure. You've released the pressure between your feet and the ground, and therefore you cannot hit at it with your arms. It's not physically possible. As long as you are in free fall, you are unable to physically accelerate with your arms at that moment in time. And if this free fall is lasting until you get your arm back down to around about parallel, then you've made half of the distance out that you have to make to get back to the golf ball. How is the arm coming down? Well, when you actually go into this free fall, what is actually happening is not only that you're losing a little bit of height, but your body is actually trying to return to its middle. When you make a backswing, you're always going to have a change in pressure from the center of your swing to somewhere kind of inside your right foot if you're resisting with the right side. And this tension and this position of the body is not somewhere where it wants to remain. So if you go into free fall, you're actually going to not only move down slightly, you're also going to move over. And when you get to the center of your body, that's when you start to resist again. So this is the position when the basketball player has got to the bottom of his feet, resists and starts to press against the ground to go up. What happens then in a golf swing when your feet start to press against the ground? You are using ground forces to press against your falling, and that will actually help to accelerate the arms down. And that's when you want to be moving the arms actively down as well. And if you're using a little bit of wrist bow and hand rotation or lower arm rotation, then that could come into the juncture then. But the trick is basically this feeling of either before you get to the top or at the top of your swing of actually collapsing your knees and hips, allowing yourself to go into this light kind of sitting position. We're talking a fraction of a second before you stop yourself again, resist from the ground, and use the ground forces to help you get your hips out of the way. That means if you're using shear forces again in your feet, you can actually get this hip even further out of the way as the hands come down to the right thigh. When they reach the right thigh, basically watch this video and it will show you that if you get that left shoulder back and out of the way, it will pull the hands up and release the golf club if there's not too much tension in the wrists. I honestly believe that this is something that you will see in all great golfers. You'll see it in kids who don't know what they're doing. They will get to the top of the swing. The first thing they do is they will go into a short time of weightlessness. And in this moment where they're actually hanging in the air almost, that is basically when the club flattens out a little bit, when the arms are passive because they can't be active. They can't get active because there's no pressure under the feet. If you actually feel your golf swing, and at the top of your golf swing you can feel pressure between your feet and the ground, you're doing something wrong. At this stage in the golf swing, at the very top of the golf swing, there should be no real pressure between your hands or between your feet and the floor. It should have a feeling almost of weightlessness, of this falling feeling, going into a free fall almost, letting your body rotate back to its middle. That will bring your arms down, and then when you get your lead arm to around about parallel with the ground, resisting with the ground forces, pressing with your feet, getting that hip back out of the way, and then actively turning and releasing the golf club through the golf ball. Whew. So this is the point, if you're joining me now, where all I really want you to do is make your normal backswing. At the top of your backswing, I want you to have the feeling of your legs and hips giving way, your joints relaxing, going into a millisecond of a fall, then resisting with your feet, pressing back with your legs, getting the hand down, opening the shoulders and releasing through the golf ball. This is what we're calling the move, and this helps your timing, this helps your golf swing, and this makes golf fun. So we now know how to start the backswing. We turn, we take it back, we release the tension with the ground, we go into free fall, we break with the feet, we turn the hips, release the shoulders and the club forwards, and suddenly the golf ball's flying straight and there's light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said at the beginning, smash that like button, become a subscriber to the channel. You can't imagine how much that helps me to actually finance what we're doing here. I look forward to hearing all of your comments and all of your feedback once you've been on the range and you've tried this out. Come back and see me very shortly. Don't forget that little bell. If you press that, you'll know when I've posted the next drill, which will help you with the move. Share it with all your friends. Let's see if we can't make a bit of a wave with this one. Nice to see you. Bye-bye.